Here I have Steam Deck Oled and Asus ROG Ally, these two great devices available at the moment on the market. The choice between them is very difficult. Even for me it's difficult to say this is better or this one is better, because every device has its own advantage and its own disadvantage, let's call them in this way. So Asus ROG Ally, Steam Deck Oled, let me tell you my experience and what I think about every device, what is my experience and what I prefer at this point. Be very careful what you choose at this point. Put in balance what it has to offer every device and which one has the most options for you, the most want to buy feature in general. So first of all, display. This one it's an OLED, it's bigger, 7.4 inch OLED display. This one on Asus ROG Ally it's smaller, but it still looks great. Of course it will be an advantage to have an OLED display in games. You will have better contrast, better colors. In general, this is the best experience with the display. But don't get me wrong, Asus ROG Ally has an incredible display also, and you can customize it. You can go either here in settings, or you can go in MSI app, also available. You have two options. You have here the possibility to change how the screen to look, but of course the OLED will always be better. But this should not be the main reason why you get a device. The battery. Steam Deck Oled has a better battery, of course, it's more optimized, but Asus ROG Ally also has the possibility to customize here the battery, and you can go, for example, let me show you here, you have only 15 watts. This is the maximum. Here it is. Now here on Asus ROG Ally you can go in battery mode with 25 watts, as you see here, and if you connect the charger you get up to 35 watts. Of course, playing with 25 watts, it's a killer for the battery. You have a 40 watt hour battery. That means you'll play around 1 hour in AAA games. Here in AAA games you will play with 10-15 watts. Let me show you. I have Dying Light to Stay Human here active on the background, and the total extraction is at this point of 21 watts, and you have 2 hours of gameplay with 80% of battery. That means 2 hours and 30 minutes with a full battery. But here is the other aspect. In AAA games, as you see here, I have medium graphics, FSR to set to quality. We have 35 frames. Basically this is the experience. There are games more optimized where you will have 40-50 frames, maybe 60, it depends. Anyway, on battery, Steam Deck is the king, definitely. But in general, if you play medium games, you will have 4 hours, 5 hours of gameplay. Also, you can customize here for medium games to run with 10-15 watts, but you will still have around 2 hours of gameplay, and you cannot match this experience. So on battery, definitely Steam Deck OLED it's more optimized because it has SteamOS, and this is it. Regarding customization, here we have Windows. You can do anything you like. You can customize everything, you can install everything, you can play any game. Here we have SteamOS, and you have limits. Not every game is compatible with it. Not every game will run. You can't install third apps. It's in fact you can from the Windows Windows mode. Here it is. We have this one from the desktop mode. We have the desktop mode here. you can install basically further apps, but it's complicated. Anyway, this is a handheld, indeed a handheld device. This is more a Windows laptop with a handheld device form, and it has its own disadvantages. But on Asus ROG Ally you have more options and you can play anything, and of course you will have a better experience in gameplays. If the frame rate is the most important part for you, if you want a higher frame rate, then Asus ROG Ally it's the choice. I know I uploaded recently a few comparisons between these two devices, and I said this is my favorite at this point. Indeed, it's my favorite. If we analyze display, battery life, and if you play in general medium games, indie games, also in triple A games, Steam Deck Oled will offer a great experience if you play with 30 frames. But if you want, let's be honest, if you want the best experience and if the graphic matters a lot for you, also if the frame rate matters a lot for you, here we have 40 frames. Here you can play it on Asus ROG Ally even with 60 frames. If this is very important for you, you should put in balance these things, these aspects. Asus ROG Ally has a more powerful hardware, and having a more powerful hardware will consume very fast the battery. Steam Deck Oled has 50 watt hour battery. Asus ROG has 40 watt hour battery. And whenever you use a game, you will extract here, starting the maximum on battery 25 watts, but you will add to these 25 watts, you will make them maybe 30, 31. You will add the power for the LEDs, for the speakers, for the SSD. So this is only for the graphics, and that's why you will get only 1 hour of gameplay if you select this one at maximum. But if you put this one at 15 watts, you will have sometimes an extraction of 20 watts, maybe 18, 19 watts. Definitely you will reach those 2 hours. Or if you play with 10 watts here, this is something else, and you will go in this category with 3-4 hours of gameplay. It depends. Again, I will say it, this is very important. If you value more the graphics and the FPS, go with this one, with Asus ROG Ally. And also customization and freedom to install everything and to play everything. If you like to have the experience of a handheld device, of a real console, portable console, well, Steam Deck Oled is the choice. It has a great display, a bigger display, excellent battery life, but you have to get into consideration the fact that it has only 15 watts for the GPU. It's weaker basically, it doesn't have that much power, but software will compensate in most of the situations. Anyway, at this point, even for me, it's very hard to choose between these two devices. Again, if you want to play better and to have better graphics, Asus ROG Ally. If you play indie games, medium games in general, then Steam Deck Oled definitely is the best choice. With the latest AAA games, Steam Deck OLED indeed has some problems. You will be able and not in the same time to play AAA games like Jedi Survivor, Hogwarts. It's not made for those games, unfortunately. Steam Deck OLED. Asus ROG Ally, on the other hand, is very powerful and incredible device. So look at this point, this is how it looks, Dying Light 2 Stay Human with 40 frames at this point. I don't have it here because if I start it on Steam Store, it will stop this one. And I don't have the game installed also on Asus Rog Ally, but I can tell you that it has a better experience. um, Asus Rog Ally at this point, it's very well developed at the software level. It has a lot of features to offer for the player, and again, you have all kind of shortcuts that you need here. It's very easy to access them also from the games, and I like what I see here on Asus ROG Ally. And again, I'll say it in this way: I prefer the Asus ROG Ally for AAA games, definitely. I prefer Steam Deck Oled for medium games and indie games. Um, this is it. This is the choice for me after playing with each device and after seeing everything. And of course, if you play strategy games and if you value the trackpads a lot, they are really great. I don't really play using the trackpads. They are not for me. I use them only to select various aspects in the games, to select in games areas that needs mouse. Indeed, they are a great option here to have them. What I appreciate a lot during gameplays, you can go here to controller settings and you can customize everything, but also here you can access these settings. But before playing the game, during the gameplay, you cannot make those changes, only from the Asus ROG Ally. They also have here control mode, and you can do the same thing during gameplay. um, in a way, they compensate. So my choice, again, I'll say it: Asus ROG Ally for AAA games, for the latest games, and Steam Deck Oled for medium and indie games. This is my opinion anyway, and I don't know if it's the best or not, but for me, it's the correct one, and you should be careful when you choose what to buy.